dun. It's over here. There we go. Okay, let's keep going. Hello, welcome. Bring this up just a bit. And I will be right back. I just need to check on something. Alright, I'm back. Hello. Who is texting me? Hello, hope you have a good day as well. Well, the package I definitely wasn't planning on getting. I had gotten a message about it like a few minutes before I was going to stream, so I was like, well, I don't want to miss that. So I had to cancel the stream. Good morning. Yeah, it arrived fine. Although it didn't show up till like, I don't know, 2:30 p.m. Despite it already being out for delivery at like 7:30 in the morning, but didn't show up till then. I was like, well, I could have streamed, but didn't want to miss the package because I didn't even know what kind of package it was. I didn't know if it was one I had to sign for or get a slip for or something, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it. I didn't even know what it was until I got it. I was like, what the hell is this? And I tried to like go through everything I did, but like, okay, I did this, but this isn't showing up until then. But yeah, I got it. Yeah, she's always had a steppy tail. It's appeared a few times throughout the comic. Yeah, I could have them. I could design them and have them like cameo at the Vor bar, and like maybe the Vor bar takes place after the initial short story. Like it becomes like either that or they use the or like the mother knows about the Vor bar and takes her daughter there, or vice versa. Like the daughter knows about it, and or both of them can know about it, and like the daughter is surprised that the mother knows about it because she didn't think her mother was knowledgeable and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's many routes we can go about it, but I can definitely toss them in as cameo characters along with other similar characters. Yeah, and they can treat it as like a mother-daughter bonding thing that they do either every week, every couple of weeks, or every month, sort of thing. And like, you know, they obviously keep it hush hush. Although probably would be at least somewhat noticeable if they put on a little weight for due to their constant visits. And I can slowly see like a scenario with that too, where like the daughter's like a little embarrassed that she's put on some weight, but then her mother might chime in. It's like, well, at least those jeans or whatever that you bought that were only one size fit now. And then she could also make like a little joke or like a little tease, like if you ever need anything, any more clothing, you can always borrow mine because her mother's like a bigger size or something. So little friendly tease amongst them. Yeah, yeah. Like my thoughts were like maybe their relationship was strained until I don't know, like maybe the mother catches the daughter like swallowing like fish, like you know, like just like a small animal or object or something, and then her mother devises a way for them to bond. And like at first, the daughter is just like, "Oh great, we're gonna do something lame," and then realizes what they're doing, and she's like, "What the hell?" Is like, "What do you or how do you know about all this?" So it could be like a thing where the daughter sees that her mom is more interesting than she initially thought, and at the same time, it's like, "Damn, what else does she do in secret?" Like nothing super nefarious or anything, but just like enough to be like, "Oh, okay." Definitely not squeaky clean or or super wholesome, or maybe not wholesome's not the word for it, but like you know, she's definitely not as like a boring mother. And at first, I was thinking of them being snakes if they weren't going to use the Vor bar, but if they're using the Vor bar, then I can make them any creature at that point. Maybe like lions or something. That could be fun. Or I don't know, whatever animal comes to mind. Honestly, doesn't matter. Vor makes everything better. And then I was like, I can make this a dark story too if I really wanted to, but I'm gonna stick with it being wholesome. Well, as wholesome as you can get with a shady Vor bar, but I'm gonna stick to it being wholesome. Whenever I get around to that, but I'll keep it in mind. I think we can move this over. Found out that my mom occasionally watches some of my stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, Jesus. I think she only watches the shorts, though, so I'm just like, oh, thank God. Or probably like the speed paint videos or something, but I'm just like, like, don't need that conversation. Yes, hi Mom, if you happen to watch this for whatever reason. The Urban Dictionary for Flores. Your heart would drop if. Oh, I've had plenty of moments like that growing up because of my random interests. Especially one of the times she found a folder that I had of printed out artwork, and she talked to me after I came home from school asking me asking me about it. And I was just honest with her. I just told her, like, I saved it all for reference. Because that was initially what was the point. Because I was trying to get better at drawing at the time. I was like, I think I was 13 at the time, maybe a little older, if I remember right. But that was the day. And then I remember the occasional questions of why I would be drawing fat women or furries. Hell, I still remember my friends asking me like what a furry was exactly, because of course you know how media likes to twist that. Mom found the homework. No, this was like a physical folder. It was just like a green folder I had that had like well, it had my artwork at the time, but it also had like stuff I had printed out. And then I eventually got a different like more folders for different stuff, mostly art. But back then I only had the one. And she said she was looking through it to look at my artwork, and then she came across that stuff and then asked me about it. And then, like, when I turned 18 was when my dad gave me a Playboy magazine that he had literally bought the day I was born, because it on the cover of the issue it's my birthday and the same year, and he held on to that for 18 years to give to me. I was like, damn, that was commitment. It's called hentai and it's art. Pretty much. Because that's all I really saw it for. It's like, I mean, sure, I could have said that, you know, it's, you know, that kind of material, but I was just being honest of what I was using it for. Because if I really wanted, you know, jerk off material, you could literally do that with anything. It didn't have to be specifically art. And the stuff I had printed out was like pretty basic. Like, it was just like, you know, Nickel Mimi girls, random furries. Some of it was Vor, some of it was Waking, some of it was like Sonic art. Just random stuff, because back then that was when I was printing out the Sabrina Online comic stuff just so I had it to read physically before the creator eventually made a physical book for it all. So this was just like, you know, really early basic stuff. Here, son, Pamela Anderson. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. She could be in that issue. I had never even thought about that. I'll have to pull it out at some point and take a look through it and see if anybody or any names I recognize are in it. It had really good reference though. I was like, oh yeah, I could use this to draw my characters in. So definitely helpful. But yeah, he literally bought that on my birthday and held on to it for 18 years to give to me. Kind of feels like an origin story. I mean, if anything, my dad is the reason I'm into comics and video games and Sonic. Probably Sonic if I had to take a wild guess, because he's the one that got me into, like, you know, X-Men, Spider-Man, DC, Marvel, well, Marvel, DC, and whatever else in between, because there's like other random comics that didn't have to do with either of those companies. So, for all I know, like there was just so much stuff. Like I remember, well, this one's Marvel based, but I remember it was like a random snippet in like some magazine, and it was talking about the Silver Surfer and how he got infected by like some kind of space virus, and it actually turned him human. But he was like floating through space, writing on the board, but he couldn't do anything because he was human again, and he was just like going through like a existential crisis before he was able to like reject the virus, the alien virus thing. I don't know what it was. It was like some kind of creature, and it like turned him back into the Silver Surfer. He was trying to figure out what to do about his loyalty to Galactus. That's quite the. Well, the weight gain stuff, I don't know. I kind of just fell into that on my own. Although, although, there was this one time my dad took me and my brother to, I want to say it was Knott's Berry Farm one time. It might have been some other place. But like as we were leaving, there was this woman with just like fat ass and thick thighs and all that. And my dad was like, "Yo, you see that?" He pointed it out, right? Just like I was trying not to say anything, but he just spoke my mind. I was like, "Eh." Like the moment he did that, I was like, "And I see where I get it from." I don't even think IHAT was a thing when he did that back then. There was a comic though, another comic though that was in that magazine, where it was like a guy hunting some kind of killer robot, and he goes to fight it, and he ends up getting killed by the robot, but then the robot like patches him up, and brings him back to life, and then the guy wakes up, I don't know, hours later or something, or possibly days, and then he's like sitting there tracking the robot again. He always starts off the same way. He's like, "Huh, it was here days ago maybe," and he goes back to hunting it, not realizing that he's probably been killed by this robot several times. I learned it from you, Dad. Right? There were some like regular Marvel comics and stuff back then that he had that did have nudity, and it was just like regular superhero stuff. Like I think one of them was Red Sonja, and I know there were some X-Men comics that had nudity in it, and they were just like regular comics. They weren't like special editions or anything. So that's why it always blew my mind where at a certain point comics and all that were getting like really sensitive and stuff, and I was like, why? This is like normal. They didn't do anything, but it just boiled down to just people bitching, because I grew up at a point in time where this stuff was standard and nobody gave a shit, and if they did give a shit, that was just because of bad parenting. It was like, well, your kid can only get this adult comic. Either you bought it for them, or you weren't paying attention to what they were doing and they got their hands on it, or a friend. That's basically it. It's only like 3 ways that can happen. Propeller hat and lollipop. No, they're still around. I rarely talk about myself in that fashion, so sometimes it just comes up. But yeah, he pretty much got me into pretty much everything. Still not sure about Sonic, although I wouldn't be surprised if it was because of him that I'm into Sonic as well. But that was like this, like a cartoon that I would grow up watching, and then my neighbor had a Sega Genesis, and that's how I played Sonic 2. Because I played Sonic 2 first before Sonic 1. And then eventually we got a Sega, and I played that too. But we also had a Nintendo, so I played, you know, Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, Zelda, Battletoads, Double Dragon, Contra, Mega Man, of course. So, you know, the classics. So yeah, all over the place. My parents were into a bunch of stuff like, you know, Michael Jackson and stuff like that. Dad had a record player. But yeah. And then back to art stuff with me. I think what piqued my interest with Waking stuff was the artist Duo Ride-On, where they just drew a bunch of Waking art for like a long period of time, and the only reason why I even knew, or I even found their stuff, was just me randomly being on the internet looking at furry stuff or whatever comics I could find, and that's how I came across Sabrina online. And then, like, on the website that I found it on was one of Duo Ride-On's art pieces used as like the logo or something, or just like the header. And then that's how I found their artwork. And then I think that was pretty much the main stuff for a while, was just me reading Sabrina, looking at Duo stuff every so often, and then anyone else at the time, because this was before I got into like DeviantArt, because DeviantArt wasn't a thing for me until, was it 2006? It was probably 2006. But when I got into like Jay Nyler's stuff, that wasn't until I was already in college. So that was like 2008. And the only reason why I found their stuff was because of another website that just had like a bunch of like adult comics and stuff like that from just like random users. And I came across their stuff and I really liked it. So I just followed them for ever since. And there's like another site where I found Overfiend, which is a hentai-based anime series. I say series because there's like multiple of them. But there was like one in particular that I couldn't find for like the longest fucking time. And then it was only like, what? I want to say it was maybe either 2020 or earlier than that, probably like 2018 or something, that I finally found it. Because I remember making a post about it on Discord. And, or no, I think it was like during a stream that I mentioned it. But I like found the particular clip that I had found like ages ago when I was like 13 or so. And so I saved that because I wasn't going to look for that shit again. Oh yeah, back then for me, it was just random ass sites. Because, you know, most of the time I'm looking at like video game based stuff, because this was before YouTube was a thing. So back then, it was just random ass sites. Because that's how me and my brother found like Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that was on, I think it was TV Nihon back then, before they got screwed over by Toei. Yeah, I like Jay Nyler stuff. And then thanks to that website, that's how I got into Kamen Rider, because I went on the site to watch, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX at the time, and I was like, oh, what's this? Kamen Rider Decade. And so it was on episode 10, because that was when Kamen Rider DN was introduced. And I watched it, and I was like, oh shit, this is really cool. And then that's how I got into Japanese Kamen Rider, because I had known of Kamen Rider when it was Masked Rider, but I only knew it as Masked Rider because of, you know, the old Saban stuff. But then once I came across Kamen Rider, I was like, oh dear god, this is great. This is better. This is super good. Love that shit. Oh yeah. Like, I probably have the site saved somehow still on my browser and stuff like that, because, well, before I was using the family computer, and then after I got my own computer, then I just revisit the sites. But I'm pretty sure a lot of them have shut down ever since, because I have like old links and stuff that like lead to just like, oh yeah, you can buy this website name, and I was like, okay, that site's dead. I didn't remove it, but I just acknowledged that it was there. So, lost the time, unfortunately. But I still have like the artwork and stuff that I had saved, because at first I had printed them out and I made sure that they have the website names on them. And then I think I used to save them to CDs. And then eventually I got a thumb drive, and then I just, you know, went up from there. And I might as well just draw this stuff. It'll save me some effort. Black Fox. Big Horse, yeah. Yeah, I was on some site that just kind of had everything. It was just like one, I forget what it was called, but it was like, it was an archive site that just had various random artists. And obviously I would pick like the furry stuff because I was just into that more than most of the other ones. But I mean, I still ventured around. But it was basically one of those sites, those archive sites. I would probably remember the name if I looked for it. But it had like Big Horse, it had Black Fox. Well, I don't know about Black Fox. I don't remember that one specifically if it was back then, but I know Big Horse was. Like, I could probably look through. I could like skim through just the names that are still, because I saved a ton of shit. I'm just gonna go through a few names just to be sure. Let me just start another song while I'm looking. Let's see. Yeah, there's Big Horse, or Big Blue Horse, Bonk. Not that one. I do have Black Fox, but I don't think he was part of that time. God, there's so many names here now that they're probably lost at this point. Cause I mean, I have over 1,300 folders in just this section. Nyler is there. Axer is there. Axer was a Sonic artist at one point. Dion Wolf, Don Best, Domino. The list goes on. Dark Natasha. Jesus, I used to look at her stuff all the time. Yeah, I mean, I should probably move this folder. I'll move that later. But yeah, like I've been saving shit. I've been saving shit since I was 13. That would be. It should be Sekenzaki. Let me check. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong thing. She's probably gonna get redesigned though. Like most things will. Yeah, that's Sekenzaki. I mean, it says her name right in the freaking description. Hope you remember to clear browser history. Hell, nope, I did not. Oh, you want to know how I did all that? Okay, back then we had dial-up because Wi-Fi was not a thing, at least not yet, or not fully a thing. And so my clever ass would be, oh, mom's leaving to go to work. Because she would call home just to ensure, just to let us know that she's out, because it was like during like vacation or something, and she would call just to ensure that she's at work and to make sure we're okay after she leaves to go to work and all that. So my clever ass thought, okay, it will take her however long it takes her to get to work. I'm gonna take that time to go on the internet, even though she told me not to. And look up whatever websites I looked up. And then print out whatever I printed out. And then every once in a while, and then I would try to do this before time was up, and then I would get off. And then I think like only one time did she ever like catch me in the middle of doing that, where she said, I tried to call before, were you on the internet? And I said no. And I'm sure she knew. And then, I never cleared the browser history because I never even thought to do that back then, because I was like, what, 12 or 13 at the time? It didn't even flicker in my mind to do such a thing. Which, for all I know, that could have been the reason why she found that folder, or she looked through that folder in the first place. And then we all know about LimeWire, so there's that. First inflation artist that actually saw something. Oh. Jerry the Omega Fox. All his accounts have been shut down for almost like a decade now. It's no longer anywhere on the net. Oh, really? Don't recognize the name, but I wouldn't be surprised if I found some of his stuff. But yeah, like even before finding all this stuff on the net, like none of this stuff was entirely new to me because of, cartoons in general. So it wasn't like I was a stranger to weight gain art or inflation or any other goddamn kink that happened at the time, because cartoons had already done it. Nothing was new. but it was a lot more prevalent to find on the internet than it was just seeing it randomly in a cartoon. Most of his art's pretty much lost media. All that's left is the firm fade. I see. Yeah, there was like Virus something. What was his name? Because I have some of his stuff saved too. Because I saved like tons of different artists. Val City, Virus 20, Woot, Vulcan Fox. Then I have Vivzy Pop stuff. I have Whisperfoots. I have Zooming, Zosh, Zorori, Zonk Punch. Just tons of different artists. I think Twin NE was like one of the first website names. Or I don't even know if that was the artist's name, but that was like one of the artwork I used to look through when I was on the internet at the time, when I was younger. Tyru, the list goes on. Like so many different. Like I mean, again, this is 1380 in just this folder. There are many other folders I have, and then I try to organize them into different sections, because I have like the old artist folder where I have everybody, and then I have the new stuff where it's like, oh, I want to look for a weight gain artist. Here's the folder, and then it's easier to find that way. So it's all organized based on time period, really. The family friend who got us our family computer gave me an eye-opening lesson on browser cookies. Oh yes. Like, this is what your cookies do. It's like, oh shit. I try to avoid messing with cookies as much as possible, unless I really need to use the site. Gonna try to draw some of Caitlin's house, although it's not entirely relevant. But in this particular panel, it'll be like more of a dread-looking image. She's like, yeah, I kinda overdid it. Oh, that's way later down the line. At least for me. Yeah, I think back then my go-tos were Eric Schwartz, who did the Sabrina Online. Jay Nyler was 2008. Joel Rydon. Probably the random archive sites that I would just find shit on. Because I didn't save too much back then. Because I could only save as much as I could, or print as much as I could, because I would use a printer ink, so there's only so much I could actually save back in the day. And then watch whatever random anime clips I could find until I was able to watch actual episodes of something. I remember finding at Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, and that took like a week to buffer for the stream. or at least I left it for a week buffering because of me and my family went on like a trip to see other family for like a week. So by the time we came back, I was like, cool, I can watch this. Caitlin getting ready to take a shower, and then she's looking around at her mess and be like, yeah, my parents are not gonna be happy with how much food she bought. And then she'll be like, oh well, I'll deal with it later. Okay, so ideally I wanted her to have a couch by her chair. So we're gonna put that over here and make another layer so it's easier to get to. Because I'm gonna draw some of her house in the background, so I might as well show what else is in here. Might have to draw in a different way. Yeah. This is what I wanted. Hold on. Grab this one. Might help if I start with to be a little bit tilted back. Well, party would make more sense for her to say, because giving food away just sounds stupid. From her parents' perspective, they'd be like, why are you giving food away? He'd be like, And then, especially if her parents know that she likes to snack, there's no way she'd be giving food away. But they would definitely believe her having like friends over for a party. And not stupid in the sense that the idea was stupid, just stupid in the sense of like Caitlyn trying to pull that. It's like, oh, you know, I was giving food away to the homeless, right? Is that what we're still doing? And her family just look at her like, yeah, X the doubt on that one. But she could definitely try to lie with having friends over and having a party. Either way, her parents aren't going to be happy with how much she spent. It's like, really, your chubby ass, your chubby ass was giving away food. I can see her mom just flat out saying that. Well, she ain't gonna be just chubby soon anymore soon. She's gonna be a fucking tank. Okay, this is gonna have to do. Probably make the couch a little thicker. I don't know why I pressed that, but I did. Do. I was practicing for a hot dog eating contest, and her friends were like, "Really? A hot dog eating contest with a bunch of empty cake boxes?" And she'd be like, hot dog cake?" At that point, she might as well just be like, her parents would come home and be like, "Caitlin, what's all this?" And she's like, Aurora Borealis? And just do the whole Simpsons joke with that. Like, really? The Aurora Borealis? At this time of day, at this time of year. But yeah, I can totally see her mother passing the fuck out once, or both her parents really, once they see her become a fucking giant, or becoming a blimp. Whale would be a more accurate term, but I was trying to avoid saying that, but I was like, nah, dumbass, just say it. Do. Then I'll draw the rest of her house in the background later, in a later panel. You know, I always wondered, in the old X-Men cartoon, there was, and during the Phoenix saga, there was a scene where it was during the moment where everybody got sucked into the Mcron crystal, and they were like transported to like a weird planet or something that was inside the crystal. And for some fucking reason, there's a scene where Phoenix slash Jean Grey is just flattened on the planet itself for some reason. And it just looks like she has a gigantic fat ass for some reason. And I always wondered, what was the point of that scene? Because it just comes out of nowhere, and there's like no explanation to why she was in that state. She was just like that. Like, I wonder if I could find it really quick. Because I know exactly where it is. X-Men. Let's see. Beyond Good and Evil. Dark Phoenix. Phoenix Saga. Let me see. Pause. Let's see. Dun dun. This is when they get sucked inside. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, I think I passed it. Let me backtrack and let me play it real quick, just to see if I can find it. No, that's when he shows up. So go back. No. Okay, there he is, but where's the part with Jean? It's just this random ass scene. There it is. Okay, so let me screenshot this. Hold on. Where's my screen capture button? That was not the button. This is the button. Okay, so someone explain me this. Like, no reason for her to be in this state. She just is. I have never for the life of me understood this scene. And like the only and like, you know it's her, not just her costume, because her hair is there. So she's just in this weird state, flattened on the ground, as part of as she's put on this like makeshift planet or whatever inside this dimension of the crystal. And I never understood why this happened, and they never explain it. Or if they do, it's like really, it's like not even focused on. But yeah, that was a thing. Anyway. And that had been a thing since I was like 5. So that was just like a random scene from the show. And I never understood what was the purpose of that. Maybe I'll rewatch that episode just to see if they like clarify it on that. I'll watch it after the stream, and then I'll find out if they mention it at all. But she's just randomly flat. And I'm like, gee, I wonder if this awakened anything looking at Ridiculous Cake, because he draws a bunch of flattening stuff all the time. I would not be surprised. But then again, pretty much any cartoon does that shit. It's not even like a frame. It's like it's like they pan through the planet or through the dimension for a moment, just like looking around the environment, and then it gets to her, and at first it's far away, but then they phase into another, you know, image to further see what she looks like, and then they zoom in, and then they linger on it for like the longest time. And they never explain why she looked like that, because none of the other characters got affected by that. They just show up in a ship. So for some fucking reason, she got affected in that way. And I don't know. And you know what? It could have been the villain of that season. It could have been him manipulating the dimensions, and like he just like turned her into that, because he could like kind of mess with reality in that dimension inside the crystal. So it could have been that, but like he doesn't even like say anything on it. It just happens. But again, I will watch that episode again just to, because I hadn't seen that episode in decades at this point. But I will watch that again just to see if they like clarify what the fuck was up with that scene. Because I remember when that episode aired. That's how old I am. I mean, I'm not even that old, but still. Like, I was there when this episode aired. I was there when Spider-Man aired, the 90s Spider-Man. Same thing for X-Men, actually. Same thing for a lot of the good shows back then, like Batman. Or when Sonic the Hedgehog 2 released. And 1, because 1 came out in like what, 90? In like 90? Because I think Sonic 2 was 91 or 92. One of the two. But yeah, just a random ass scene. No idea what the context of that was. So I'll have to watch it again just to find out what the fuck that was about. Assuming they even tell you. Dark Phoenix Saga was really good though. I enjoyed that one. Maybe it could have been that. I don't think they outsourced it, X-Men at the time, because I know they did. In the last season when they outsourced to the Philippines, and you could definitely tell that the art style was super different in comparison to the earlier seasons before it. And it was just like, damn, it was like whiplash looking at the last season, because the last season looked like shit. But the earlier seasons were so fucking highly detailed. And thank God, because we got that one infamous moment with Rogue's ass. So, God bless. Might want to move her hair a bit, since this is when she takes the collar off. But yeah, it was just like a random ass scene, and I'll have to watch it just to see if they even mention it, because they linger on it too. So I have to assume that that it meant that the scene had like some importance to the narrative. Like, obviously it's not like a major big deal, but I'm just curious what was the context to that. Because maybe I'm forgetting something. It's been over 20 years since I've seen that episode, so I could obviously be missing something, or just don't remember something. Real Ghostbusters. I might know what you're talking about. The episode I love from Extreme Ghostbusters, or no, I'm thinking of Extreme Ghostbusters, Real Ghostbusters. I'd have to see it again. It's been a long time since I've watched Real Ghostbusters. But with Extreme Ghostbusters, there was one where they did a body horror, because it was about a guy who was forced to write a horror book, and anything he wrote came true. And so basically he wrote, like, he basically wrote the Cenobites from Hellraiser, but they were like their own version of that from for Ghostbusters. And they basically would kidnap people and just like morph them into like mechanical zombies. It was really trippy, or like cyborg zombies. Everyone having allergic reactions, having grotesque body horror. I would have to watch the episode again, because I'm sure I've seen it, but it's been like forever since I've watched Real Ghostbusters. Like, I haven't watched Real Ghostbusters since they aired, and maybe some clips here and there from like YouTube, offhandedly. And in Extreme Ghostbusters, I haven't seen since I was like, or no, like, well, I watched the episode that I was talking about like later, like a few years ago. But in terms of like the whole series, I haven't watched that since it aired when I was like 7. Because I remember when it aired and the time period, and I was like 6 or 7 when that came out. Because I would watch that along with Sailor Moon, Technoman, and BAD, Bureau for Alien Detectors. And I think Dragon Ball came on too at that time. Let's lower her hand a bit. Baby's first body horror, probably, yeah. If we're talking like, it probably would be Ghostbusters, wouldn't it? It'd be like Ghostbusters, maybe. I want to say maybe. Because I'm thinking of the times at the time. So if I'm thinking like really like crazy grotesque stuff, maybe Creepy Crawlers, or because X-Men had some stuff like that too. Basically anything in the fucking 90s. Like the '90s kind of capitalized on everything back then. They did body horror. They did all kinds of well, I say kink themes, but for all we know, they just did it to do it. Pretty much every goddamn toy had a cartoon at the time, even if it was like a short season. Man, those were the days. It's like, hey, you want a cartoon for Polly Pocket? We go ahead and have one. Mighty Max, there you go. You get one too. Rainbow Bright, you get goddamn hell, we're gonna have one. My Little Pony, now we have fucking 5 or 6 fucking generations of that show. Yeah, that was like a weird thing. I never really noticed it too much. At least not at the time. Maybe when I got older, I went back and went like, huh, they did a lot of horrifying shit for kids shows back then. But it didn't like dawn on me until later down the line. But back then, I mean, I still think it's cool now. But yeah, it was just interesting to think about that. It's like, huh, we got away with a lot of shit back then. Nowadays everybody's too pussy to do that to do that stuff. So, kind of glad I grew up with what I did. It's like, damn, man, how do we get to a point where we could have characters getting stabbed or shot, or body horror turn into zombies, blah blah blah. Nowadays we gotta sugarcoat that. We gotta lessen the damage. Only put like scratches on a character. Oh, this character is naked, gotta put this blinding white light there, or make it super fucking shadowed for some fucking reason. And I'm just like talking about just animation overall, because unless you're making like fucking hentai, or it's like some kind of indie animation, you ain't gonna see any of that shit nowadays. We barely, hell, I'm surprised we even get blood at this point. I'm surprised we're the balls have dropped far enough where we even get blood in cartoons. Back in the day, we couldn't even get that shit, and we still made it awesome. I think the first time I like, because in X-Men there was like 1 or 2 episodes where there was blood, but they didn't like capitalize on it. It was just there briefly. I'm trying to think of when I like actually saw blood in a cartoon. And I think the only times I've seen it was in like Spawn, I think 8-Man, and I want to say Ghost in the Shell. Maybe Dragon Ball, but I'm like vaguely remembering Dragon Ball from that point in time. But yeah, that was it. Maybe Technoman, but I don't recall seeing too much blood at the time, and it could have been censored from the version that I saw at the time. Alright, have a good night. But yeah, back then the 90s did not give a fuck. They just did shit. Hell, Disney cartoons had blood. Not that many of them, but they did have blood. Censorship rant, take a drink. No, I won't go on a full-on rant. But it's because of growing up in that time period. That's why I'm like against sugarcoating stuff, because I'm like, look, if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine, but don't ruin it for everybody else who wants to have a story to experience or art to experience or whatever the case may be. It's literally the same thing where like some people don't like waking art and they'll like bitch about it for some reason. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe you guys are into that. Don't you know that it's unhealthy and blah 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 blah. I'm like, Yes, we know that. That's why we indulge in it as an art form, because there's no downside to this. It's literally the best way to experience this stuff. But I don't know, people are still bafflingly being stupid and getting stupider, actually. Like, we thought they were dumb back then. Now, hell no. That compared to years ago, people like what 5-10 years ago look like fucking geniuses compared to what we have now. And it wasn't even that big of a time gap. It's like, good lord, what happened? Obviously, COVID really fucked with people. But even a little before then, it was just like, man. Back then, there was only like a single Disney movie that showed blood, and it was their least popular. Yeah, because like, from what I remember, when we saw blood, it was like what, Sleeping Beauty, maybe Beauty and the Beast. I don't remember the ending part when Gaston fights Beast. I'd have to watch that again. I think Little Mermaid had it when Ursula gets rammed with the ship. Going through my mind on what had blood. Black Cauldron, yeah. Well, this wasn't a Disney movie, but didn't Last Unicorn had fucking titties in that one with the harpy. They were just out there. I was like, Jesus. Because I remember watching the movie before, and I did not recall that scene, and then I had watched it like years later, like in like, I don't know, 2006, maybe 2007 or so, with one of my friends, and I was watching with her, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, they're just out there. I was like, damn. I do not remember this part of the movie, and I think she said the same thing because it had been a while since she had watched it, and I was like, damn, just titties, just right out there, huh? What else? Well, if we're going by Don Bluth movies, Don Bluth had like a lot of risque jokes and stuff and imagery. Disney was a little bit more reserved. Well, not reserved, but like clever about it. Like, they would have adult jokes, but they would like hide it. Unless you pissed off the animators, and then you got the window with the naked woman in it. for rescuers. The XX rated version. Last Unicorn. But yeah, that was... It's like, you can see my appreciation of the art because of the time I grew up in. And now everything is like super watered down. Okay, maybe not super watered down, but definitely like more clean when it comes to like content, or when it comes to like tackling mature themes. And unless it's like an anime / hentai, then you're kind of out of luck. Unless you're going indie. And even with indie, like, the only way you're gonna see it is on like a random, art site or Patreon. Like, If you're gonna see it on YouTube, your ass knows that that shit's gonna either be deleted or demonetized. So if you're gonna post that, you're gonna post it with a loss. Or at a loss. And it's funny when there's like anime that are like right on the fucking edge of it being a hentai. Such as interspecies reviewers or redo of healer. It's like, damn, the only thing that's keeping this from being a hentai is actually seeing the fucking. That's literally it. Because there's nudity. Because there was titties. There was nudity, but that was it. You didn't see anything else. So it just made me chuckle when seeing stuff like that in modern time, because I'm like, damn, we are just right at the edge, huh? And I laugh because when they dubbed interspecies reviewers in English for a while, apparently the company did not know what they fucking licensed, and they quickly like stopped producing episodes in English. And I was like, how the hell did you license something and not know what the fuck it was? And there's an obvious answer to that, but it's just funny. But unfortunately, when it comes to English episodes of that show, it only goes up to like, what, 2 episodes or something? And then the rest are, you have to watch in Japanese. And then for a while, they made it hard to even see those episodes. So people were finding them on like Pornhub. So that shit was funny. I still laugh when they, for that one website, My Enemy List, they were removing people's reviews of interspecies reviewers because they thought that people were just review bombing. And I was like one of the few people who actually read the goddamn manga and watched the anime. So I was leaving like a genuine review, but they removed my review. And like Full Metal Alchemist was still #1, but Interspecies was like #1 very briefly. But the people of that website want to keep FMA as #1. I think it finally got beaten this year. But still, I was just like, damn. I had a legit review of that show, and they took off my review because they thought it was part of the review bombing at the time. And the reveal that I had was just I like that they covered the many different species of creatures in the show. It wasn't just like a stereotypical, okay, we got the cat girl, a bird girl, I don't know, maybe some beast character, like a wolf or something. Then the rest are just like humans and maybe an elf or something. It was like, no, we covered the entire goddamn spectrum of monster girls. And then they even doubled down on furries for that show. Or for that series. Because some characters kept coming back who were popular. And luckily one of them was, well, a few of them actually were furries. So that worked out. Good old Elsa. It was Elsa and that big bear woman that the dog guy would keep going for, because he likes them thick. Yeah, interspecies reviewers. I was just talking about um, how my anime list, the website, removed my review at the time because they thought it was part of like the review bombing that was going on for interspecies reviewers. And I had a legit review because I had read the manga and watched the show. So I was trying to be legit with it, but they removed it. And all I really said was like I like that they covered all different, like so many different species of characters, because you have like not just the typical Kimono Mimi girls where it's just like they're mostly human with like some animal parts and all that, but you have like full on like furry characters as well, and other types like cyclopses and slimes and whatnot. And it was cool that the series had some of those characters return, like Elsa, who is a hyena girl that the angel character Grim would always hook up with because she has a dick, or a giant clit. And so, well, it's probably not even giant clit, it's actually a dick, because hyenas actually have that to distract certain or females and stuff like that, or to avoid females or something. But or it might be to avoid males, but whatever. They still had that character return, and there was like a polar bear woman that one of the other characters would hook up with because he likes his women thick, and so he always comes back to her. So yeah, I enjoyed that series mostly for the variety of characters we got. And why do I feel like your boob is too short? A little bit more. There we go. Which eventually I'll have to start diving into my more unorthodox characters, and not just canines and birds and reptiles all the time. Gotta start using the slimes and the robots and all that. Do know what? This would make a lot more sense if the hair was this way. Or we could just move the ear. To where it should be. That reminds me, I still need to get Croc Legend of the Gobo. Because I remember growing up seeing that commercial of that game and I never played it. I might have played like a demo of it at some point, maybe. But I've definitely never played the game fully. I don't know, the music just kind of reminded me of like old school games. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about Croc. Because I ordered from Limited Runs Gex and Enter the Gecko, or like the Gex trilogy for physical. Because I definitely wanted to have that. Slim this down a little bit. Yeah, there's like hardly any platformers like that now. I think like the slight resurgence was when we had Super Lucky Tail, which reminds me I need to get that too. And then we got what's her name? Forget her name. Hold on. What was it called? Penny's Big Breakaway, because that game was made by the people who made Sonic Mania. And there's like a few others, but those are the ones that kind of stood out to me. There was that one game for the PlayStation with the robot thing. There's that one that I heard was really good. Which is funny because they had Little Big Planet still, but I guess they just wanted to do something new, which is fine. There are probably a number of old mascot games that could come back, like Earthworm Jim or Vectorman. They have Knights, but I'm surprised they haven't brought him back after the Wii. I guess the game didn't do well, the last game. I enjoyed it. It was a fun game. Beat the shit out of that game. At least they haven't like 100% forgotten about Knights, because he usually ends up showing in a lot of Sega party games, or make some reference in Sonic. Yeah, he was supposed to get a new game like ages ago, or not ages, but like I think it was like back in 2008, because during one of my classes in college we had an interview with the creator of Earthworm Jim. Like we had a live stream talk with him, and people were asking if there was going to be a new Earthworm Jim, and at the time he was like trying to be all hush hush about it. And then like a few years later, there was like a trailer for like a new Earthworm Jim to come out, and then it just never happened. I think the same thing happened with Toe Jam and Earl. I could be wrong with their third game. Did that game ever come out? There's an Earl 3, but there was like another one. Yeah, Back in the Groove. Did this ever come out? Yeah, it did. 2019, huh? I didn't hear I saw the trailer for it, and then I didn't hear anything about it. So I must have just missed when it came out. So I'll have to grab that too. Just because it was something I grew up with. But what about Earthworm Jim? Originally announced in 2008. Still in development in 2011. 2019, it was announced that the game would be developed by a different studio. Yeah, still nothing on Earthworm Jim 4. Ever since 2019, and that could have been because of COVID as well. 2023. So there's nothing officially saying that it's canceled, but it's like it's kind of hovering in that territory. But as of 2023, they said they haven't been past like the planning phase or whatever it was. So take that take that as you will. Oh, did not want to do that. But yeah, Earthworm Jim was the shit. 1 and 2. 3D was like why, especially when the controls were bad at the time. And then I think originally Vector Man was gonna come out in 3D because I remember seeing screenshots of that. And then rumor is that Vector Man got turned into Halo. Because that game never came out. What's other characters that could potentially come back? They don't even have to be in 3D. They could return in 2D because they were in 2D at one point, like Bubsy. Didn't Bubsy get a new game recently, or semi-recently? Yeah, he did. The Woolly Strike Back. When was this? 2017. Yeah, so that was semi-recent. Not even a decade ago yet. Damn, that came out on Halloween. I'll have to look at that one and see if it was decent. Like, I don't expect it to be good, but wouldn't mind getting it just because. If I have to, I'll get like a dedicated drive for saving the game data that I have for Steam. Because you can play Steam offline at a certain point. So, would be wise to have it as a backup. Yeah, I think it was just better. Bubsy's always been better in 2D. I mean, to be fair, he only had like one shot in 3D. So, if competent developers were to make a new one nowadays, I'm sure it'd be all right. I don't know, like certain games just feel better in 2D, or at the very least, should come back in should have like a 2D version or a 2D game every once in a while, just to kind of, you know, go back to basics, or you can even improve it. Like, for example, Sonic, even though they did Superstar, which is like 2.5D, if they had like a more stylized version, like kind of like Mania, but like more in the style of the Sonic OVA animation, like if Sonic was drawn in 2D as like a animated figure type of thing that you would move around, I think that would, you know, do a lot for the series if they did something like that. And I'm sure fans have made some game similar to that at some point by now, which is why Sega is cool for being really chill when it comes to Sonic fan games. Hello. Bonk would probably be interesting to come back. Tamba. Boogerman, Rystar, Pulseman. What was that one game with the I think Aerobat, the Acrobat? Arrow the Acrobat. He could come back. I would say Izzy, but I think he's linked to the Olympics, so I don't know if he would have a chance of coming back. Bugs. Oddworld. Yeah, I remember Chuck Rock. There was this one game. I'll have to find it because Game Grumps have played it. But there's this one game with like a blue cat guy with that wore red, similar to like Nightcrawler from X-Men. I forget the name of the game, but I used to see advertisements for that all the time in my old comics. I forget the name. I'll have to look for it on Game Grumps at some point. But they made like a particular joke during it, so I remember where it is, but I'd have to look for it. But they could do something with that. There's another game that was for PC called MK something. Let me see. PC game MK. What was the name of it? It was like MK something. Maybe it was like MKV? No, here it is. MDK. I remember seeing this in a fucking Best Buy when I was like 7 or something. And I was always curious about this game. And I think Game Grumps played it at one point. Either Game Grumps or some random user that I came across. This came out in '97. So I was 9 when this came out. But yeah, MDK. I always thought he had a really interesting design. I don't even know if that's his actual name, but still. Let me see. What was his name? Plot, I guess. Scientist, blah blah blah. What was the main character's name? I think his name was just Kurt Hectic. Whatever. But yeah, MDK, that was an interesting game to look at back then. Murder, Death, Kill. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I didn't look at the screen until now. But yeah, definitely. So you shit like that caught my attention. Or Tiny Tank. That was another good one. Basically anything from the PlayStation demo disc. Hell, bring back Rampage. Or Snowboard Kids or 1080. Diddy Kong Racing. I mean, the list can go on with old school games now. Shit. Okay, get close up to this. Actually, I should probably draw the back of this. I saw some of it when my mom was watching it. One time, like a couple years ago. It looked interesting. It looked good. Lizzie was always my favorite. Hell, I'm surprised we don't have a movie of fucking Cruisin' USA and Cruisin' World and Cruisin' 3. Like at this point, just make video game movies of anything that was on the N64. It's like fuck it. Jet Force Gemini. Not as a movie, I'm just thinking of it as a game to remember. Wave Race. That was a great game. Lord help us if they ever made an Echo the Dolphin game. Or, not game, but movie. Particularly for me, I'd be like, cast it into the fire! Because, dear lord, Echo the Dolphin and Chemical Plant Zone for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 ruined all water levels for me for life. I hate all water levels specifically because of those two games, or because of those two levels, or well, Echo as a whole and Sonic because of that particular level at the time. Nowadays I can beat, you know, Chemical Plant like nothing. But back in the day I was like, no, I hate all water levels for specifically for this reason. Donkey Kong Country kind of eased that stress because there was nothing awful about it. Because you didn't like run out of air or anything. You just went through and just, you know, used on guard to get through the enemies. Ninja Turtles didn't help though. Ninja Turtles was awful with their water level. It's like, oh yeah, not only do you have a time limit, but you gotta disarm a bunch of bombs, and you gotta navigate through a bunch of fucking seaweed that'll fucking kill you. It's like, good luck with that. I think you had like 7 minutes or something like that to get through it. There were just some old school games though that seemed like they were just made to have you experience pain, like the Silver Surfer game. I remember playing that. It's like, hey, do you feel like hating the world for a while? Play this. And yet some of the irony was that some of the bad games that were just like made to just make you cry, or at least seemingly made to make you cry, were the games that you would eventually get stupidly good at. Because you died so many goddamn times that you just became like, nah, I know how this works now. Like Battletoads. That game was just pain the entire time, but it was such a fun game. Trying to think of other games around that time. Fucking RoboCop versus Terminator. Oh my god, that game. That game is just like good luck, especially when you get to the last level, and there's just so many goddamn enemies. What's another game they could turn into a movie? Yep, we're finally here. After a billion years, we're finally here. After 10,000 years, I'm free. Debating on if I'll have like a magic symbol like fade away as she unhooks it or just takes it off, because there's not like an actual like lock or anything on it. This is more of a clarification for where this is rather than, because I want to show the collar coming off, so this is more like behind her. Maybe I'll draw all of the hair and just darken it and make the collar visible. Also have to think of what's actually behind her, because we never really see her back. At least not with texture. So she has that thing around her neck, so maybe we'll do a little bit of a pattern. And maybe some spots similar to where it is above her ass. So yeah, probably draw like bits of her hair to kind of emphasize that that she has long hair still. So yeah, I'll likely darken this image except for the collar. much as good as that's gonna get. If I want to focus on the collar. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but this will be my first take of doing that. Thumb going underneath. Yeah. So I probably have like a little seal or just like some kind of magical thing to indicate that she took it off, and then it'll react the way it's supposed to react. It's like, oh fuck. Cut to the SpongeBob scene where it's like, yes, that's what we've been waiting for. Yeah, I'm gonna try to stream working on comic pages more when I can. If it's something too risque, then I won't be able to show it, but I'll try to just show them all in general, but I just, you know, won't include the dialogue and all that. And I'll try not to full screen it too often. Because even though you're seeing this much, the idea is to still guide viewers towards the sold versions or the Patreon to see it in full. But I will, you know, make it available to buy on its own. Okay, I have no idea if this is the best way to do it, but we did it anyway. Big stretch. this would not be here. The silence is deafening. Don't know why, but I'm thinking of the episode of King of the Hill where Hank misses out on $1 million by giving the football to a pro, and the pro doesn't take off his jacket, and it pisses off Hank, and he tackles him. Don't know why I'm thinking of that episode, but I am. No clue how I got to that mental thought. Reminds you of a weight gain sequence. Yeah, have a good day. I'll be getting off pretty soon as well. And then I'll finish this up as soon as I can. Alright, I'm gonna call it for tonight. Thank you everybody for coming. I should be streaming again in the morning. I don't think there's anything to really interfere like this time. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. I will see you guys again tomorrow, alright?